Hey there, guys. Welcome to the new episode of my Unfiltered Professional Wrestling Experience. My name is Khan, and I am the anarchist of professional wrestling. Now, after QPW Academy Challenge 2, a month later, it was decided that there is going to be a QPW SuperSlam 2 in February. They had all the graphic designs made, they even announced a date. They were going to sell tickets by the end of December. And obviously, it's QPW SuperSlam is basically the WrestleMania of the professional wrestling scene in the Middle East. It's basically the grandest stage of wrestling in the Middle East. And obviously, Mr. Ali was going to be having all these international former WWE superstars, independent stars who are big on the indies. They had stars from all over the world who are very well known throughout the whole wrestling industry. And during that 2 month time period from December to February, he also had to make the decision whether there's going to be an academy match on the pre-show or not. He decided that at least 3-4 weeks before the show that there's going to be a pre-show for the QPW Academy guys who are going to be Tito, Rage, and Classy Ali, and they're going to be facing one another in a triple threat match. Obviously, very well deserved, very talented guys. And he also mentioned for the rest of us guys who started less than a year ago, he decided that there was probably not decided but planned that there was going to be a tag team match for the guys who are not going to have a singles match or be part of that triple threat match in any manner whatsoever. And one of those names obviously was me, for that was going to be part of that tag team match. And there was Big Mad, there was Shihab, and there was probably going to be one more academy student. But the problem was that everybody that was in the option was very green. And to be put in a tag match on a stage like that was pressure itself. But nonetheless, if we had gotten that opportunity, we would have given our 110%. At least 2 weeks before the event itself, it was confirmed that there was going to be a tag match, and I was really happy about it. I was super excited. I was even more excited for SuperSlam now. I was already excited because I was going to get to meet and be backstage with international superstars, former WWE superstars. That meant the world to me. And for that to happen also in the company that I've trained and performed for, it's a huge deal for me. But to be at the show itself while the legends are watching, that was going to be a dream come true for me, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But unfortunately, sadly, but now that I look at it, thankfully, the tag team match was canceled 2 weeks before the show. Michelle said just because of the time frame, and obviously there was also a part of him that thought we were not ready for that sort of exposure right now, that pressure right now, so he completely removed that tag match out of the plans that was supposed to happen at the pre-show. So now we only have the triple threat matches. Are going to be Tito versus Classy versus Rage on the pre-show, 10-minute triple threat match, and they were literally getting to work for it. Like they were at training just preparing for that triple threat match for the next 2 or 3 weeks. For myself, now that I look back at it, I'm glad that my match didn't happen or did not get canceled at the day of the show, because that triple threat match that Rage, Classy, and Tito trained so hard for, worked so hard for, that was supposed to be a 10-minute match. They had good spots. I was there with them during training, seeing what they were doing, learning stuff. And out of everybody else, I was the only one who knew how the match was going to pan out to be. And so on the day of the show, when Tito, Rage, and Classy made their entrance on their first ever big event, being on the pre-show, that match was toned down from 10 minutes to 5 minutes to 2 minutes. And that all happened on the fly when all these three guys were in the ring. So all three of them are inexperienced. They're just on the same level as the rest of us in the academy, because they've only ever done 2 shows, and this is basically the third one for them at least. And the match was narrowed down to 2 minutes. It was basically obviously it turned out to be a lackluster match, but I would have to give credit to all three of them for pulling through, for giving the people some sort of action in that match instead of just being nervous, being anxious, don't know what to do now. They handled that situation pretty well, and a round of applause for all three of them. Eventually, Rage came out as the winner of that match. It was probably just technicals. Classy Ali, obviously, as usual, the heel getting his ass beat and getting outside the ring. And then Rage hit a powerbomb on Tito, 1, 2, 3, finish. Match was over in 2 minutes. And I still remember very much how Rage was upset backstage after that match. When he came back, he was livid and he was frustrated. Like, that was a Rage you do not want to mess with if he's ever in that mood or in that position, because I know how hard he worked. I know how hard both of them were. Classy Ali was pretty chill about it. He's obviously the sort of guy who doesn't take things too hard that much. Most people who know him personally, he takes things very lightly. He enjoys the moment, I would say, and I wish I could say the same for myself, and I wish Rage could say the same for himself. Most people would want to be, very chill and take stuff lightly when it comes to that sort of experience and opportunity. But obviously, for each man, it's a different perspective. Everybody thinks differently. But back then, I was also very upset about the fact that that opportunity kind of got taken away from those three guys, considering how hard they worked for it, especially Rage. He was already dealing with injuries of all sorts, and to get nothing in the end, getting just 2 minutes out of it. Still some exposure, still got some spotlight, but obviously it would have been a much better situation had that match gone through. But anyhow, we continue the night. It's professional wrestling. Things change like this in the blink of an eye. You might be in the main event today. You might not be tomorrow. You might be fired tomorrow. Things might happen. You might not put on a pair of boots ever again because you're injured. It's professional wrestling. Things like that happen, and the quicker you get used to it, especially the new guys who are just getting into the business, the quicker you understand that, the easier it will be for you. I understood that 4 years, 5 years later, a little too late, not maybe a little too late, but I still understood. And I don't take things lightly, but I do not get upset about it if something doesn't happen. And yeah, there's going to be moments, there's times when I do get frustrated and upset, but it's not something that I take to heart so much compared to how I would back in the day. So anyhow, SuperSlam goes on. All the matches are there. We've got everybody in the arena. We've got Del Rio, the Great Khali, Mark Henry, Chris Masters, Carlito, Enzo Amore, Brian Pillman Jr., and countless other guys. We also had Alofa. And I would like to tell you guys my experience with the wrestlers that I interacted with. Now, Enzo Amore being the first one. Now, you have heard all sorts of rumors and shit about Enzo Amore over the internet of how terrible of a person he is. My experience with him was completely different. I have a very different outlook of Enzo Amore. He is one of the sweetest and nicest guys I have ever met in professional wrestling. I did have the assumption that he was probably going to be an asshole. Twitter seemed him to be, but I take Twitter opinions with a grain of salt because most of the people on Twitter have never touched grass, have never gotten out of their mama's basement. They barely interacted with the world out there. So anything that happens on Twitter is bullshit. The whole community of Twitter, toxic Twitter community, can go to hell as far as I care. Enzo Amore is generally one of the most nicest human beings I've ever met. One of my friends, a very close friend of mine, he also had an interaction with Enzo Amore where he was trying to get a picture with Enzo Amore, but he couldn't get the chance to. So when Enzo saw that he was trying to get a picture with him, Enzo went up to him and be like, "Hey, I'm looking at you for a while, and I think that you want a picture. Come on, don't be afraid to ask. Let's get a picture." I took a picture with Enzo Amore. I exchanged a few good words with him. Brian Pillman was also pretty chill. Really amazing guy. And Chris Masters, Carlito, Evan Bourne, PJ Black, all these guys, super, super duper nice and down to earth and humble. I only have nice things to say about them. I don't care what the rest of the world says about any of them at any way because I did not have a negative experience with them. RVD, I had a pretty good experience with him as well. I did not realize that RVD was injured in the main event, and when we were done with it, the whole show, everybody's packing up and stuff, and RVD's backstage in the locker room. I didn't realize he was injured back then. I was just, maybe he's just resting after he's done with his main event match. And I went up to him in the locker room, and I just asked him like, "Hey man, can I get a picture with you? I've been watching you as a kid. You know, my cousins love you. Everybody loves you back home. It's an honor." And he just asked me to sit beside him, and he smiled at the camera and he got a picture with me, and that was just an amazing moment. You know, RVD, man, Rob Van Dam. I'm just sat beside Rob Van Dam and I took a picture with him. What more would I want right now? I'm the happiest man alive, and that was just a really good positive experience for me. And now people would say, how was it with Del Rio? Let me tell you, I did not have any sort of interaction with Alberto Del Rio except for the fact that I said hi to him and shook his hand. Yeah, he was not in a really good mood that night. I could tell, everybody else could tell. Uh, he was obviously, just, doing business as usual. And I would probably go deep into it, but since I did not have any sort of deep interaction with him, I really can't say anything. The rest of the guys can speak for themselves. So I'm not going to speak for anybody. I'm not going to, put a picture in front of you, which I haven't seen myself. I'm not going to do that. But for me, it was just a hi, hello, shook his hand, and that's about it. Nothing positive, nothing negative. And just like that, SuperSlam 3 was a dream. Met guys like Kali, Kevin Nash, even though I was working backstage. And time that I'm going back in the audience to watch the rest of the matches, it was just an amazing experience, especially for a guy like me who has never been to a wrestling event before. No, oh wait, my bad. I think I've been to a WWE event before, but obviously as a fan, I didn't really interact with wrestlers. I went to WWE Fastlane in 2019 where I got to see the Shield. That was another dream come true for me. But just being backstage with wrestlers, having be able to talk with them, take pictures with them, it's a completely different experience than being at a show as a fan. And just like that, QPW SuperSlam weekend was done with. Obviously, I have really nothing more to tell about my experience as far as the tag team match goes. It was planned, it was canceled, things happened. I was super upset. I was super frustrated about it. I felt it till the end of the show that imagine what could have been like. Look at all these people, thousands of people. Look at this arena. Look at these lights. Look at that music. Look at that Titantron. Obviously, the kid in me really, really wanted to make his entrance and have a match, but God had other plans. It's God's plan. I do not question that. And ever since then, I have been trying to get my fair share of opportunities. Maybe not in the best part of my career right now, not in the best position, but I still believe someday I will be at that position where I will be making my entrance in an arena full of thousands of people with a big ass Titantron in the background with my music playing and just that having that adrenaline rush going through my body. Whenever that happens. But for you, ladies and gentlemen, this was QPW SuperSlam 2, my experience with QPW SuperSlam. And obviously, we know what happens in early 2020 after this COVID struck. We all went into quarantine. Everybody was in lockdown. I think WWE was the only wrestling company out there that was actually producing live wrestling on a weekly basis. But obviously for us, for the guys in the Middle East, for the small companies, we were just sitting at home. There was nothing to do, no working out in the gym, no more training at wrestling. But obviously that didn't last forever, and it did come to a halt soon, and we were having talks about having another QPW Academy show again, and I am going to talk about all those plans that obviously got scrapped once again because we didn't have a show throughout 2021 again, and I also had to leave Qatar. All those stories, all those things I will be mentioning in the next video of mine. If you made it this far, leave a like, comment, subscribe please, and share if you want to. Your subscription, your likes mean the world to me. They're more than enough. And yeah, I shall see you guys in the next video. Your boy Condi Anarchist, heading out now.